You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and these are three of the more elegant pens to have crossed my desk in quite a while. These are the ST Dupont Line D Diamond Guilloche Large Fountain Pen, and these are new to the market from ST Dupont, and they were sent out for me to review and just kind of like hang out with and enjoy for the last couple of weeks by Coles of London. So thank you very much, Coles of London. They are the ST Dupont distributor for the US, and so it is very nice to get a hold of these. So this is the Sapphire and Palladium model, which is the one I've been using, and we'll talk about this more. We've got the Aquamarine and Palladium model, and then we have the Red and Gold Vermeil model. Actually, this is called Ruby. I don't know why I call her as Ruby. And this one in particular looks kind of dragony to me. When you have this guilloche finish in here, you've got the depth underneath this lacquer, and then with the gold trim, I really think this is an attractive pen. I think my favorite, if I were going to get one, would be this blue, this sapphire. But the gold and the red actually made kind of an impression because I'm on the record as not loving gold trim, but sometimes gold trim does do a good job, and this is a really good looking one. And you can see also the section here is gold, which matches the nib. It's a very elegant look, I think, from this pen. Okay, so let's take a look at this one because this is the one I've been using the most. This is the Sapphire and Palladium. So let's start at the top. You have a very nice script D up here. Underneath sort of a dome, you can see it's got some dimension there. I'm not sure if this is plastic or if this is lacquer. We'll talk about why I'm making that distinction here in a couple minutes, but it looks very nice up here. It's a good looking D. Then you have this very nice straight line clip, which I think is pretty darn classy. It's all one solid piece. You don't have like the foldovers or anything like that in there. It is articulated. It has a spring up in the top, so it doesn't actually ever have to bend. It's mechanical. You have a very nice little black shield emblem in here. And then you have this belly band, which is also palladium, of course. It says ST Dupont going around here. You have Paris, although I believe these are made in Faverges, which is where they have their factory. I think I made that pronunciation pretty okay. And then you have this little leaf right here, and that's it. That's all that's around the belly band. I think it's pretty nice. This ST Dupont script is very good looking. Then you have more of the guilloche and lacquer, and then you have this palladium butt cap down here. Now, the body of this pen is made of metal. It is a fairly weighty pen. Altogether, this thing comes in at 65 grams. A significant portion of that is in the cap, so it's not a heavy pen to write with. I have written quite a lot with this pen. The body of this pen is metal, as I said, and I'm fairly sure it's brass. I haven't been able to find that listed anywhere. However, I looked at the inside, and it looks like brass on the inside. So you have this brass body that is engraved in this guilloche pattern, which, as I said before, looks a little bit like scales on the red one. The blue and the sapphire and the aquamarine don't tend to look snaky to me. I don't really know why, but it's this kind of very nice, intricate diamond pattern, which I think is very attractive. And then it is layered over with layers and layers and layers of natural urushi. Natural lacquer, I should say. I've heard it said that this is urushi. I'm not sure exactly how that works as far as which kind of urushi it is. I'm just going to call it natural lacquer because that's what ST Dupont calls it. Other places you'll see it called urushi. And I know there's got to be some urushi content in here. My wife did have a bit of a reaction from holding on to it. She, and you probably won't, but she is a person who is actually very sensitive to that kind of chemical. It's in mangoes, it's in poison ivy, it's in urushi-bodied pens, and so she just doesn't play with those, and she was messing with this, and she had a little bit of a reaction. She's fine, it's not a big deal, but just know that if you are one of those people who is extra ultra sensitive to things like urushi, not the pen for you. Just look at it from afar and move on. But layers and layers and layers of that, and so this is one of the things that makes this pen extra special, is you have this extra depth from all that material, and that's quite the process, putting a lacquer like this on a pen. You do thin coats, it has to cure, you sand it, you coat it again, you wait, you sand, and time after time, dozens and dozens of times. So there's that. Opening up the pen, you can see it is a slip cap. ST Dupont's, as far as I know, are all slip caps, and they all are an excellent slip cap with like a very particular feeling. Let me hold this up to the microphone. How's that click, y'all? They do some of the best snap caps in the business. There are a few that are standouts, but I think ST Dupont is right up there with all the best snap caps. So take that off, and this is a fairly heavy cap, so a lot of the weight of the pen is actually in this cap here, especially up here, dealing with this mechanism. Okay. Then you have the grip section of this pen, which as you can see is also palladium. The one here, as I showed before, is gold, vermeil plated. And then this is actually a really good section. I know a lot of people don't care for a metal section because this one's a little bit of a fingerprint magnet. That's the only thing about it. But a lot of people don't like the metal section because the metal section can often be slippery. These grooves are perfect. So when you hold this pen, it doesn't feel like it's going to move in your grip. And as I'm twisting this, like, it moves just a little bit, but you can see my fingers are moving with it. Those grooves are great. They are exactly the right kind of bevel going on. They are just the right depth. They're the right number of them. It's never uncomfortable to write with this pen for me, and I've written quite a lot with it. So like this section is a win. It's what a metal section ought to be like, I think. Then you have this nice little lip here. The section diameter is actually very nice. It's between 9.5 and 11.5 millimeters from the top to the bottom, so it actually gets a fair amount thicker as you go. But this is right where I want that size to be. The nibs on an ST Dupont, I think, are always a thing that one should see because they are a very elegant nib. They have this wraparound nib structure with like a scalloped edge down there at the bottom. The feeds are all very particular to ST Dupont. Like you see an ST Dupont feed, you're like, yep, that's an ST Dupont. ST Dupont, I see it. I do kind of wish the feed tapered a little bit more and didn't have this sort of drop off a cliff right there because the nib is so elegant and then you look at the side and it's got this drop, but that would probably make it too fragile to do the job and maybe make it too flimsy so it wouldn't deliver ink efficiently to the end of the nib. I'm sure there are reasons. On the nib, you'll see there are a few things. You have the shield logo again, you have the D logo again, you have 14 karat here and the medium. These nibs do come in extra fine, medium, and broad. I've only tried the medium, but the medium this is very good. If the others are as good as the medium, then they're all great because this is very nice. You can see the the feed on this is actually a little bit iridescent. I have an ink in here that has a bit of sheen to it, and this is a little bit on the feed there. The filling system for this is cartridge and converter. It opens up here just below the collar. It has a little O-ring. Then you have a set of metal threads, and these are nice flat threads here. And you have an ST Dupont. Oh wait, nope, it didn't actually come with a converter. These, I'm sure the regular pen does, but I just threw a converter in here. Standard international converter, no big deal. Also takes cartridges. I didn't get these in all the packaging as such because that would be crazy to ship all the packaging for all three of these. I don't really know what it looks like. I'm sure it looks good. Okay, so that's the pen. Let's look at it next to a bunch of other pens and do a writing sample right quick. Okay, so here you have it next to a whole bunch of other pens. We have here the Sailor 1911. This is one of my newer pens, the Diplomat Excellence A in Skyline Red. Then you have the TWSBI Eco, the Lamy Safari, because everybody's seen those, so you get an idea of what the size of this pen is. This is the Platinum 3776. This is a Parker Duofold, one of the modern ones, the larger version of the modern ones. This is a Mont Blanc 146. This is a Conan Minimalistica. Then we have the Pelican M1000. Then the ST Dupont Line D Guilloche large. You can see it is a large pen. Like it's on the big end of the spectrum right here with the 823 and the M1000. Let's take off some caps and see how it measures up. Okay, so sometimes relative lengths will change when you take the cap off of a pen. However, with the ST Dupont Line D Guilloche large, you still have it in the same range lengthwise as the Pilot and the M1000 on the big end. And also, it's not too far off of this larger Diplomat here or the Eco. So sometimes when you take the cap off, you have a very different size. Not so much for this one, still relatively the same. Okay, let's put the caps back on. Let's do a little writing sample. Okay, so here we have a more close-up view of this and that gorgeous guilloche. I am a sucker for guilloche, man. You put guilloche on something, I'm going to probably like it. Okay, let's give this a bit of a writing sample here. ST Dupont. Line D. Guilloche. There we go. You can see a little bit of a fade here. That's because I picked the nib up off the paper, and I've been waving it around for a while, but you can see there was no problem getting this thing to deliver ink to the page. This ink is diamine. This is Handel. There we go. Which is a gorgeous ink, I think. One of the ones that I just had to get from the music series as soon as I tried it out. It's like this weird brown pink sort of color that's totally non-standard, and then you have a green sheen over the top of it when you get it, get it on some good paper. Just very cool. And I was like, let's put it in this wild pen. Let's put this wild ink in there. And I think this ink is actually it's pretty medium in terms of flow, nothing crazy, but this nib is has been just a joy to write with. It has no problem keeping up with fast scribbles. Doesn't really have any real line variation. I wouldn't push on this nib. It's not meant to be flexy. And there's no real side-to-side variation either, which is to be expected from a round nib. Let's try to write upside down. Reverse writing. It kind of works. I never write this way. I don't know if you do, but I just never do. I like writing the regular way. Regular writing. There you go. So this pen, I think, is pretty great. Let's take a look at some dimensions and stuff. I'll have an image of this at the end, but this capped pen is almost 6 inches long, and then the pocket depth is about 5.5. So you're going to need a pretty substantial pocket to actually put this in a pocket, but this is a great clip. I wouldn't worry about that falling off. You have to actually give it a tug to get the slip cap to come off, so no problem there. Here's the tricky thing about this pen, and that is that it is up there in price. The manufacturer's suggested retail price is $995, which is just $1,000. Let's just call it $1,000, guys. And then the street price is $796. So, as I said, one of the fancier and indeed more expensive pens to have come across my desk kind of ever. And I was talking to some folks about that because I was like, man, that's a whole lot. I really like this pen, but I can't drop $800 on a pen. And then we got to talking about it, and really, this puts you up in the category of pens that come with things like urushi lacquer and maki-e and those kinds of things. And actually, this is lacquered in the same kind of way. It takes the same kind of work to do that on this pen as it would on, say, a Nikaya or something of that nature. And so this price is kind of in line with pens that use this kind of these kind of materials and craftsmanship and all that jazz. So yeah, not out of line, just kind of up there, you know. So these pens, I think, are all gorgeous. Here's the section on the aquamarine, and that color is just a beautiful jewel tone, I think. And then of course the red, which is very dragony, this ruby. But this gold section, I think, is very nice. And I do like this pen a lot. So if you're in the market for a pen in this sort of price range with this kind of look that is pretty beautiful and elegant, I think you could do a heck of a lot worse than the ST Dupont Line D. It writes great. It looks amazing. Thank you again to Coles of London for sending these out for review. I have loved them. It's going to be tough packing these up and sending them back. So that's what you want in a pen, is one that's like hard to let go. And this is a pen that I just keep reaching for. So check this out if you ever get a chance to go to a pen store that has them. If you're in the market for them, check them out at your ST Dupont dealers. I did a quick Google and I found them at places like Anderson Pens and Dromgools and those. So give them a shout out, or give me a shout out, I guess, if you go and find one of these. And let me know what you think about this pen down below, because I mean, in the hand, this is a wonderful pen. All right, I'll see y'all later. Hang out if you want to see specs, and that's it. Peace out.